Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Christian counseling for adults, couples, children, and families. North Coast Family Foundation. WCRF Cleveland. WVMS Sandusky. WVML Millersburg. WVMN Newcastle. WVME Meadville. WVMU Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Trump has signed executive orders related to immigration. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Trump signed multiple orders yesterday, ranging from one mandating truck drivers be proficient in English to one cracking down on sanctuary jurisdictions. That order calls for a list identifying such sanctuary jurisdictions that obstruct the enforcement of federal immigration laws within 30 days. Plans are being made for Dr. Michael Robinson to exit his post as the superintendent of Akron Public Schools. Council approved a measure yesterday that will pay Robinson $200,000 to resign, less than 2 years into his 5-year contract. Interim Superintendent Mary Outley will become the permanent superintendent of Akron Public Schools. In Columbiana County, East Palestine City Schools is preparing to file suit against Norfolk Southern in the wake of that 2023 train derailment. The school district says that Norfolk Southern has failed in its promise to rebuild the district's athletic facilities and has also failed to reimburse the district for costs associated with the use of school facilities by emergency personnel. In sports, the Cavaliers blew out the Heat 138-83 to complete the sweep and secure a spot in the next round of the NBA playoffs. The Guardians got crushed by the Twins 11-1, and a two-time Stanley Cup champion is out of a head coaching job as the Penguins fired Mike Sullivan yesterday. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny with a slight chance of showers this morning, then becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon with showers likely and a chance of thunderstorms. It'll be more humid with our highs in the upper 70s. At last check, we did have partly cloudy skies across most our listening area. It's 68 degrees in Cleveland, Akron 62, Ashtabula 61 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Know someone in college? Google is giving away a year of Gemini Advanced for free. It's part of the Google One AI Premium plan, which includes tools like VO2 for video, Notebook LM, 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and more. This will give them exam prep, writing help, and even homework help. This offer runs until June 30th. Have them use their EDU email to sign up. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, and I'm cheering because our good friend Lauren was finally recognized.
That's not true.
With the
with the car.
Tell the story. I was so excited yesterday.
I went to Aldi.
Okay.
Hey, I've been recognized at Aldi too.
Me too, actually. There's something about Aldi.
All our
Not
fans
me.
are at Aldi. You should go to Aldi more, Ron.
Because you don't go to Aldi.
Right.
You don't go anywhere, but that's a different story.
I was at Aldi and I parked and I went inside. Forgot what I got already. And just quick trip, came back out, and there was a woman walking ahead of me, and she turned around as I was opening the trunk, and she said, "I was wondering who was driving that car." I said, "Hi." And she was
Because
like,
you're driving the station vehicle.
"Yes, I'm driving the station vehicle
Okay.
with all 4 of our faces on it."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, hi." And she said, "I listen all the time." I said, "Thanks so much." And she said,
Aw.
"Yeah," and then walked away.
She was playing it cool. Good move.
I guess.
Well, you talk about how you really don't want to talk to anybody. So if she knew it was you, she would have been like, hello and goodbye.
I was very friendly. So,
Well, yeah, you are a very friendly person. Why are
Yes.
you laughing at that? It's true. You're
Yeah, I
very
am.
friendly. And so all this time of me mentioning this is very clear. Anyone in the region of Cuyahoga Falls, be on the lookout.
I'm zipping around.
In the station vehicle, yeah. If anybody cuts you
Particularly-
off, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Particularly the middle of the week because I do school pickup and drop off and back and forth.
Yeah, you're in that funny phase of life where it's starting to ramp up. You're kind of a chauffeur now,
Yes.
and your identity is slowly disappearing.
Yeah, I'm just a chauffeur.
Yeah, and you also, are there for comfort for children, make meals. You're really an unpaid servant.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Paid with hugs.
No.
Oh, and those are worth every penny
They
from those
are.
cute little boogers you've got there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we have one of my very favorite things today, a good story about Daria's husband, Jimmy.
So my husband works at Chick-fil-A, and so he has like the special, the uniform. He leaves it on his dresser. He doesn't hang it up. That's just his thing.
Smart man.
It's always there when he needs it.
That's right.
Well, so last week we were painting, and we moved the furniture, but his work uniform was still on his dresser. Kat gets into the room, and obviously we don't want her in there. So I pick her up, try to get her out, and she is just holding on to whatever she can to try to keep me from removing her.
With those claw razors.
Yes. So she grabs onto Jimmy's uniform, and it goes plop right into the paint.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And then, so he tried to get the paint out. I mean, he did an okay job, but this poor man, he was having a rough day yesterday. I don't know if he ever slept or what. So I get a text from him. He says, "Forgot my belt, forgot my name tag, and I'm wearing the paint stained pants."
Wow.
And you said, my pleasure. Oh, poor Jimmy.
Yeah.
Did they give him new stuff?
He's going to have to get new pants, I think.
Oh, poor Jimmy. Do they have special, like, Chick-fil-A
Special pants.
branded pants, or is it?
They have them through a supplier. I don't know. They
wow.
look like generic slacks to me, but they get
But
them
they're
through
Chick-fil-A pants.
somebody.
That's cool. We should have Moody Radio pants.
That's okay. We already have the
good.
shirts.
That's true.
Jimmy's a slender guy, so with no belt, does it
I'm
just
sure
kind of
he was struggling. I didn't
Yeah.
ask, though.
poor guy?
Yeah, that is a problem for slender men. When you don't have any hips, you have to have a
Falls
belt,
right
or
off.
it's just an inconvenient situation in front of everyone.
Suspenders would work too.
I love a good pair of suspenders. I haven't had them in a long time, but
No, me neither.
they're very practical.
They are?
There are some people who wear them for fashion, and some people clearly wear them because it's necessary.
Because they have to.
Yeah. It's really a gift to all of us that they're doing that. I was once again glad that I bought a warranty. I never thought I would say that because I was raised with the principle that warranties are scams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
we've
too.
talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, in a moment of fleeting ignorance or stress, when I got tires like a year and a half ago or so, like a year ago, from Discount Tire, I paid for that warranty. And remember I told you like a couple of months ago, I had a flat in the middle of the winter. I had no gloves or hat or anything, and that was a huge mistake. I still have gloves in there just in case we have a bitter cold spell while I'm driving to work.
Yeah.
Because that was so miserable. I got for $15 for like the little copay or whatever, the deductible. I got a new tire. Well, yesterday I had a flat. Thankfully, it was at home. Didn't have to worry about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Went in, and when they came back out, the guy's like, yeah, well, couldn't fix it, so just swapped it out. I'm sorry?
Nice.
Yep, you just got to pay that little $15, new tire. So now I have 2 new tires.
For $30.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Let the other 2 go
nice.
just to get
tire
new
insurance
tires.
is worth it. I mean, I also have bad luck with tires, so we've done the tire insurance.
It's amazing.
It is.
I actually looked at the guy and I said, do you have like a limit on this? I mean, I said, I'm not trying to test the limit. Trust me, but I'm just curious. Like, he goes, no, not really. I mean, we'll start asking questions if you keep coming in here with screws in your tire.
Giant
but
slashes.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, see you soon. Isn't it great?
Yes.
So
pretty
now
nice.
I'm a warranty advocate.
Now you're a warranty guy.
Yeah, at least for tires.
I mean, because tires are expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, much more than $15.
Oh, goodness gracious, yes. So look at me. I'm doing warranties.
You did it.
And these are brand new tires, or they're new to you tires?
Yeah. Well, I forget how long ago I actually purchased. I think it was a year ago. I got a set of tires because factory tires are terrible. They don't last very long. And then when this problem happens and they can't repair the tire, which they'll repair it for free with the insurance, they'll pull the nail out and put the goo in or whatever they do.
Yeah.
If they can't do that, you get a new tire.
And it's brand new.
Brand new. Like, I feel like there's
That's
got to be
good.
some sort of scam, like it's in the back and it's no, same tire, brand new.
And how much was your warranty?
I have no idea, and I just don't care, to be honest with you.
Whatever it was, it's paid
It
for
probably
itself.
wasn't much because
No.
you would have balked if it was.
If I keep up this pace, I'll never need new tires again.
Exactly.
The inconvenience of having a flat tire in the morning.
I don't know. When you buy a new set of tires, Lauren, that's a lot of money.
I wonder if the warranty only goes. No, it would have been for the life of the tire.
The life of the tire. But if the tire never totally wears out that you have to get a new one, you just keep getting flats.
Now,
I'm
does
going
the,
to rotate in new tires all the time.
does the warranty cover the new tire that you
Yeah.
got?
Yeah, the tire
Yes.
that you just replaced. Really?
Yes.
So
It's not just like, oh, the original 4.
No.
Okay.
Wow.
The guy said there's really no
Just
limit at
keeps
all.
going.
You guys, this is God's mercy on me.
Yes.
It really is.
So
And
you
it's-
found an infinite tire hack, basically.
Yes.
His mercies are new every morning, just like that tire warranty.
I mean, you know, in an era where things get more and more expensive, we have economic uncertainty. It's the little things you got to be thankful for. The Lord has given me unlimited tires.
Yeah.
It's what it feels like. And I can sit there and watch funny reels in a pretty comfortable chair, to be honest. It's an ugly chair, but it's pretty comfortable. Take it all in, you
There
know.
you go.
Goodbye. Thanks for the new tire. Have a great day. And they even were like, I thought I was going to get scammed they were like, hey, you know, it looks like you need new windshield wipers, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, we got them here for $14, a wiper. That's a good deal.
That is.
That is a pretty good deal.
Why
Why are wipers so expensive?
I don't know,
And
but
they'll put them on for you?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's where it counts.
I know. I mean, sometimes you go in there like $20 a wiper.
Or you get wipers for only $20.
Well, you could get a cheap one for that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but then you're gonna have to get another one
Soon.
the first time it sprinkles.
Or you just keep blowing a tire and you go in and you get the cheap one. Look at me. I'm just a walking blessed man.
Yes, you are.
It's 6:15 coming up here in just a minute. This is powerful information, of course. The tire warranty. You're welcome for this public service announcement. In a couple of moments, Ron and I will reminisce about one of our favorite public service announcements. And we're going to talk about information. Information and how it's tied to cartoons. It sounds a little abstract. I'll get you there.
Encourage Foster Care is a private, faith-based foster care agency located in 13 counties throughout Northeast and Central Ohio. Every month, Encourage receives dozens of requests for foster homes in Northeast Ohio. Due to the lack of foster homes, they are forced to turn away up to 80 children a month. Encourage is currently working to expand their services and support. Learn how you can be a part of the solution and help create hope for the community at buildinghopecampaign.org.
Mood swings, the digital age, hormones, pressure, anxiety. The preteen years are hard for everyone, parents and kids. Tricia Goyer and Leslie Nunnery's newest book, Faith That Sticks, helps parents navigate these years with grace and love. Part 1 helps you understand your preteen and what they need. Part 2 describes 6 components of a faith that sticks. Connect with your preteen to help them grow spiritually and emotionally. Order Faith That Sticks today at moodybooks.org.
Today, there is a disciple-making church planting movement that's taken root in 40 countries around the world. It's called the Timothy Initiative, and its mission is to see a healthy church planted in every village, everywhere. Since 2007, over 200,000 churches have been planted through the work of the Timothy Initiative, but there's more work to be done. Take your place in the Timothy Initiative. Go to ttiglobal.org.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
.620 WCRF. Join us at the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast. It's May 8th at the IX Center. We have our winners already that are going to join our table, but you can sit at other tables.
Sure.
And you can wave to us.
Yeah.
And donate your bacon anytime.
Right. There's plenty of time before the actual ceremony begins and Larry Morrow gets your attention. You can walk up to one of our tables. You could wave at Larry. You could, bring me your bacon, whatever you feel led to do.
And as Lauren declared, she's friendly.
Yes.
I am friendly.
So she will stop by, or you can stop by and chit-chat with Lauren.
Yeah.
Don't get so upset. I'm being honest. You are very friendly.
Yes, I know. Yeah. I was very nice to that lady yesterday. If she's listening, let the team know. I said hi.
The way you said it, though, was like, there are people that say, Lauren's mean, but...
Yeah, exactly.
You're not mean.
And no one's ever said I'm mean.
No.
I myself
I'm
have
getting
said...
scared.
I myself have said, yeah, I'm a little shy. I'm not, very personable on the outside. She's a little shy.
Like a pineapple.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your mother called you a pineapple.
Prickly on the outside, sweet on the inside.
Yeah, and because sometimes people's facial expressions don't match their inner character.
That's correct.
And my wife sometimes has had that where it's like she's so anxious she looks grumpy, but she's really just anxious. Leave her alone. I'm still very nervous by your response. You're very aggressive.
You're trying to tell people I'm not nice.
No, I'm not. You're making the problem worse.
Her perception is her reality, Brian.
So anyway, join us at the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast. Text prayer to 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255.
And if your name is Peter Miller, you have to reply to my email to let us know you're coming. Okay, Peter?
Otherwise, we have to give away his seats, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter.
You got to let me know you're coming.
Just a couple of Peter Millers out there in America.
I know. It's like a really normal name.
Well, if your name is Peter Miller, check your email because Lauren might be trying to get in touch with you.
Everybody named Peter.
Yeah, check the spam. See if Lauren Cuevas is in there.
It's an EDU email, okay?
Remember, she's friendly.
I'm friendly.
So
I'm only not friendly to Brian because he's mean to me.
The way you say I'm friendly makes me nervous, actually. I think that's what it is. You know what I'm saying, Daria. You could sense it.
No.
I can't even look at her right
Just
now.
you.
Ah! I looked at her. Okay.
She's not Medusa.
I wish.
I bet
Snakes for
Medusa's
hair.
friendly.
Oh, another AI prompt.
No.
Oh, please don't.
No more.
I don't need to see any more of those.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about information and knowledge. And is there a tipping point at which information can become too much, where the point is no longer power? You know, there's that information is power or whatever. And to get you there, I want to talk a little bit about favorite cartoons.
Okay.
Yay.
So, Daria, did you have a favorite cartoon growing up?
Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues.
Oh.
Back when it was good. I've seen like clips of the newer version. I think it's CG. It looks awful. Like that. That's not how I grew up. Bring the old one back.
That is not blue.
That is sacrilege.
Like the 2D one, the original where it's
Yep.
Isn't that- That's what it is.
That's pretty good, Lauren.
And that dude who was like,
Steve. Please.
Steve was way better than
Put
Joe.
some respect on his name.
I
He's
literally
Steve.
cried when Steve left. I hated Joe. I was like 6, and it was the
Get
worst
outta
thing
here,
that had ever
Joe.
happened to me.
yeah, in fact, you know, Ron and I kind of marveled, I think, at the emotional trauma in your generation when Steve
Yes,
Yeah.
Steve.
left.
Get his name right.
In fact, during COVID, didn't Steve like post something
Yeah,
to comfort
yes.
all of you?
Yeah, he was very comforting.
Did it work?
I think so.
It
He
was
had a
very
nice shirt on, right? He had the horizontal stripes.
Yes.
Only guy who could pull that off well, you know? Come on, Steve, what a guy.
Yeah, him and Waldo.
Which I've been accused of looking like occasionally.
Wow, that is funny. I need you to get one of those hats.
Just stocking cap?
Where's Brian?
Yeah, not hard to find. What about you, Lauren? What's your favorite cartoon?
I don't know. I had a few in mind. It depends on the age. The first one that came to mind was Rocket Power. And then the next
Rocket?
one
I'm not
that
familiar
came to mind
with
was
that.
Rugrats. Yeah, they were surfers and skateboarders. Rocket Power.
How did that work?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's like the Wisconsin Ducks. So you had wheels that you could also use the skateboard and go on the water?
No. They were skateboarders
sorry.
and surfers.
So they had two different boards.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were, okay.
How did that work?
Well, I didn't watch it. I mean, it sounds like really creative, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Wisconsin Ducks, it's a boat that also drives. Come on, it
Rocket
happens.
Power, Rugrats.
Rugrats.
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold. What was wrong with
Recess.
his, why is his head that shape?
He's a
It's
football
a
head.
cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and obviously we're different generations, but I remember that one. Did you watch that? Who was the blue guy? Doug?
Not so much. Not as much. He was weird.
That was a little weird.
Why was he blue?
Well, no one knows. No one knows.
And also, it wasn't Doug that was blue, but yes.
Oh, wait, it wasn't?
No, I don't think so.
It was the bad guy that was
I think so. I think the bad guy was
scary blue guy.
Maybe it's to show you that he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
So there's no question.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Caillou was hairless.
We can't get started on Caillou.
Caillou's the worst. I got to just leave it there. He's still
Yeah,
whining.
can't
He's canceled.
Caillou.
Okay. Ron, what about favorite cartoons for you?
I
Rocky
came-
and Bullwinkle.
I did
Oh.
enjoy them and
Yeah.
the fractured fairy tales and the other things that went with it.
Yeah.
The three that popped in my mind, though, Speed Racer,
Oh, yeah.
Scooby-Doo, and Archie. Archie was the comic book
Yeah.
kind of precursor to the Monkees and that.
There's like a CW drama of it now.
Yeah, Riverdale.
Right, River.
Oh, goodness.
I was going to say Riverside. But yeah, it was innocent, unlike Riverdale. It was very upbeat and happy. They had drama. They had, of course, two of the stars were girls, and this is high school, so there was drama there. Everybody wanted Archie, Veronica and Betty both wanted him, and they would sing. How could you not like a cartoon that at some point broke out into song?
And I thought you would have thrown in Looney Tunes because somebody texted in Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Phil, our buddy Mayor Phil loved Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. I saw a lot of Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck.
Very, very quiet.
Yeah. It's Wabbit season. Yeah.
And thanks to Todd and Wycliffe.
And Pastor Rowley.
We do now have the name of the blue kid from Doug.
Doug's best friend was Skeeter, and he was blue.
Okay.
Roger was green, and he was the enemy, of course.
With the leather jacket.
Whoa. Boy, I'm so sorry, Skeeter. We made you the bad guy.
Sorry, Skeeter.
Turns out you were good. Roger, the green guy, was the bad one. I had a couple of favorites. One of them, nobody will remember this because it was so obscure. MASK. It was an acronym that I don't remember. M-A-S-K. And it was these guys who had vehicles that you could push a button and it would turn into like a military weapon thing. Like the truck would pop up and have guns shoot out of it. I liked that. I watched Little He-Man. And I liked me some G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe gave me a really important one-liner in my life, which is where this all comes full circle. Ron has pulled it for me. Ron hit it.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
And knowing is half the battle. Now, they never told me what the other half is.
Right.
I know that I'm halfway there when I have knowledge. I'm assuming it's action?
Yeah.
We've never resolved this, Ron.
Right.
Probably.
They never said.
This was reminding me, yesterday we were at the park, and there was an older kid there, and he's being really sweet. He kept, because I was with my younger child, he kept helping my 4-year-old in and out of the swings and pushing him. He was probably, 10.
Oh, nice.
And as we were leaving, Trey said, bye, friends. And this kid said, remember, kid. So funny. He said, remember, kid, if there's something you want to do, just think about it and do it.
Wow, Tony Robbins on the playset.
Yes.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Okay.
Wow. Look at him going to the playground and inspiring
He's
the younger
inspiring
children. You think about it and you do it.
You think about it and you do it.
It was almost a G.I. Joe. Remember,
Yes.
kid,
Yeah.
knowing is half the battle.
And then doing it is the other
Yes.
half, apparently.
It must be.
He literally called him kid.
Hey, kid.
Good.
Isn't that funny how little kids in the playground never learn anyone's name?
No.
Oh no, I
It's
never
just, hey.
When my kids were little, I have a new best friend. Oh, yeah? What's her name? I don't know.
Right.
They're right over there. It's that kid. So, yeah, but knowing is half the battle, right?
Yes.
And so we also hear popular sayings, knowledge is power, is it not?
It is. Yeah.
Information is power is another very popular saying. What do those mean to you? Knowledge is power. Information is power.
Well, if you know stuff, you can do stuff. So that's how it's power, is you can
Right.
do things.
Yeah, and also we had that powerful phrase we learned from our friend that I'm not going to play. Kevin. He said that all behavior is explainable with more information, which is true.
Okay.
I've thought about that a lot. Like
Yeah.
if somebody's acting all crazy, usually if you dig in a little bit, you can figure
There's
out
a
why.
reason that they're acting crazy.
But here's the tipping point question. Can we reach a point where too much information becomes destructive?
Yes.
You said that fast.
Yeah, I feel like it.
I don't know about destructive or overwhelming.
I mean, it's a pretty recent phenomenon where we can know all the news all over the world in an instant. And I do think it's not been good for our mental health because we're constantly worried about wars that 100, 200 years ago we literally would never have known about.
Well, the Gospel Coalition wrote an article called The Spiritual Problem of Being Over-Informed. And I want to talk about that possibility because it's half the battle coming up.
I'm Barb Karayan, and this is Pause for Prayer. Jed Hill was a talented athlete, bodybuilding model, and actor whose deepest desire was to gain the attention of his father. He faced severe injuries that sidetracked his plans to please his dad, and feeling defeated, ended up in prison where he attempted suicide. He woke up in a hospital, and a nurse said to him, "If you can really be honest, your life can be different," and she gave him a New Testament. God broke through Jed's heart, and he surrendered his life to Jesus, and now is a pastor who led his earthly father to Christ. Would you pray with me?
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
.638 WCRF. It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Whether it's your faith or your health, you don't have to journey alone. And Daria, we have a new podcast episode coming out.
We do. So our latest episode comes out at 10 o'clock this morning. We actually are posting a clip from when Jamie was on a couple weeks ago, Jamie Buxton from the City Mission. I'm working my life away, honest conversations on career, purpose, and faith. So we had a 19-year-old who said, I feel like I'm working my life away. A 30-year-old who said, I hate my job. I feel stuck. I don't know what to do. So we kind of dig into that. So check that out. Text the word podcast to us at 440-546-2255.
Thanks, Daria.
No problem.
If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about a concept of being over-informed and how that could possibly be a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, I grew up with the opposite message. It's like knowledge is half the problem. Right, Ron? You've got my little clip there from G.I. Joe? Let's hit it.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
Again, the other half we assume is action, but we don't know for certain. Well, I guess back in 1990, a book was published by Neil Postman called Amusing Ourselves to Death, in which he said, information no longer has any relation to the solution of problems. Information no longer has any relation to the solution of problems. He said that he was critical of the information-action ratio, and that he talked about informing ourselves to death was later what he would talk about, not just amusing ourselves to death.
Okay.
How does that resonate with you guys? Information no longer has any relation to the solution of problems.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, just like what I was talking about before the break, we know so much about so much going on overseas. And in most cases, there's nothing we can do about it. We can't help. All we can do is stand by and wring our hands.
Yeah, there's a quote here from the Gospel Coalition that's worth digesting. Here's what they say. The tie between information and action has been severed. Information is now a commodity that can be bought and sold, or used as a form of entertainment, or worn like a garment to enhance one's status. It's true, though, right? I'm very informed. Hello. And Lauren's very friendly. It comes indiscriminately, directed at no one in particular. Disconnected from usefulness. We are glutted with information, drowning in information, have no control over it, don't know what to do with it. Our defenses against information glut have broken down. Our information immune system is inoperable. We don't know how to filter it out. We don't know how to reduce it. We don't know how to use it.
So if information is no longer what leads us to action, what does? Do we just act willy-nilly? Do we act on our emotions and not the information that would be facts? I don't understand his message. I get it. We're overwhelmed with information, but so what? I'm not getting where he's going with that.
Yeah, no, that's very good. But you agree with the principle. We perhaps have too much information.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. In fact, do you remember, Ron? This is going to be wild. Back in the olden days, when breaking news was actually breaking news.
Yes, and it was vetted and true.
And it would actually break into programming.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was breaking news.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to CNN or Fox, they have that label on the whole day.
Yeah.
And they're usually telling you something you already know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not breaking. They didn't break it recently, but it's still breaking news. I mean, so now okay, so the guy goes on to say, we have an information crisis, and it's at least threefold. We have too much information that moves too fast and is too focused on ourselves. As in, in social media, the algorithms give you information you like.
Right.
And so we've had days, Ron, where you and I come in here and I go, hey, did you hear about X, Y, and Z? You're like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, it was all over my newsfeed. He goes, didn't see it once.
Yes.
Isn't that wild how that happens?
Yeah, it is. And that makes you then, like, for me at least, something that I see and I think, oh, it's all over. They have to have seen it. I'll send an email out to you guys or a message or something sometimes because I now know you might not have seen it because our algorithms are different.
Isn't that wild? With access to so much information, there could be so much of it, you'd miss something important. Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel this way, Lauren, that there's too much information?
Oh, yeah. I could instantly know about some serial killer in Montana and follow his court case or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything about that.
Right.
It just makes me more nervous. It makes me more riled up about something that I actually can't do anything about.
Yes. And you're hinting at what the Gospel Coalition really wanted to point at is that there's common side effects of being overinformed. And this is your so what, Ron. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that. It's like, okay, I think most could agree with the presupposition we have too much information that comes too fast and is too curated to our own interests. All right? But what's the consequence of that? There's a bunch of them. One of them is we become anxious. The person wrote, when a world's worth of breaking news, calamities, injustices, and apocalyptic headlines steadily feed our souls, we naturally feel anxious and on edge. Do you think that's true?
Yes, because the headlines are written to grab your attention, and we rarely read the story to find out it may be the opposite of the headline, or the headline may predict if you eat, I don't know, circus peanuts, you'll grow a third eye in the middle of your forehead.
It feels true to me. But yeah, no.
I don't think our minds are made to be seeing images of war across the world.
No.
We're too fragile, and not in a bad way. That should be a sobering image to you, and that should bring a lot of sorrow and grief to you. But we're being inundated with images of war all over the world. And we're just again, in a good way, we're just a little too fragile to be seeing that all the time, but we're seeing it all the time.
And I'm not certain how aware we are of that fragility and anxiety that's produced by too much information. When I read this, I go, oh yeah, I've been there. But I'm not walking around when I'm experiencing that anxiety from looking through new information or too much information. I'm not really conscious that it's creating that in me.
And empathy burnout's a thing too. You can experience so much that causes you to mourn or feel sad about something that you're just going to stop feeling things. It's your mind's way of protecting you because you've seen too much.
Exactly. Now, there's other side effects of being overinformed that would prove this concept that this is a serious problem for us. But there's a big spiritual consequence that we'll get to at the end. We'll get to all that here in more detail in just a minute.
There are many ways to say,
I love you, Mom. I love you, Mommy. I love you, Mom.
We have an idea. Enter our Moments with Mom contest for a chance to give your mom, mother figure, or yourself a $550 gift package, a gift certificate for a day at the spa, and a $100 gift card to a variety of restaurants will go to a mother who reflects the love of Christ. Go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland or text MOM to 440-546-2255. We'd love to help you say,
I love you, Mom.
Hey, my name is Brant Hansen. I'm an author and radio guy who did something about 15 years ago that changed my life. That is when I first visited a Cure International Children's Hospital. What Cure is doing to heal the sick and proclaim the kingdom is so brilliant. It's so profound. It is the most Jesus-shaped ministry I've ever seen. More people need to know about it, so I'm really glad you're hearing about it right now on Moody Radio. Please check it out online. It's cure.org/Moody. That's cure.org/Moody.
God gave a dream to D.L. Moody and Emma Dreyer to start the Moody Bible Institute. He's honored that dream for almost 140 years. Today is Giving Day, one day each year to celebrate. Thousands of Moody graduates have served in every spot on earth. Support that today on Giving Day at moodygivingday.org. It's only once a year, and that's today. Give now at moodygivingday.org.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
648 WCRF. Don't forget to enter our Mother's Day contest. Mother's Day is around the corner, and we have a giant pile of prize for the mom in your life or yourself if you're a mom and you want to enter.
A giant pile of prize.
Yeah, I made that up.
Yes, you did, obviously.
Do you like that?
Making up your own grammar rules, too.
Yeah.
Hey, when you talk for a living, you get to do things like that,
No, you
don't you?
don't.
No?
When you live on a farm, everything's a giant pile of
That's
fill
true.
in the blank.
That is true. Okay, so it is a prize estimated at about $550. So here's what it is. You get a spa gift card at Lux Spa in Chagrin Falls, spelled Luxe, because it must be French, so it's fancy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get the, what do you do at a spa? Like a facial and a...
Massage. You can get a manicure, pedicure,
Somebody
haircut.
heats up some rocks and puts it on you or whatever.
Yeah, if you want, some of them do that.
Ron's signing up for that. He loves that.
I got rocks in my yard. If I wanted to put rocks on my back, I could just do that myself. I don't need to pay hundreds.
And then we have a restaurant gift card to a restaurant group where you get to pick. It's like River Grill, CGC Grill, Bar Italia, the Lake House. You pick one of those. And you're like, what kind of restaurants are those? That's the point. When they have a name that doesn't say what it is,
right?
You know it's fancy. So that's a great prize for Mother's Day. Runs through Sunday, May 11th. You can enter. So if you want to enter for your chance to win, text MOM. Text MOM to 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. Really intriguing concept from the Gospel Coalition that there could be a real spiritual problem with being over-informed. And I grew up with the message that knowledge is power, right? And I think we hear that a lot. Information is power. And there's a truth to that. But at the end of the day, the question becomes, do we reach a tipping point where too much information becomes destructive? And I think we not only have reached that point now, but we reached it a long time ago and didn't know it. We all feel better about ourselves knowing what's happening in one sense, but I think it's destroying us in others. So the writer here in the Gospel Coalition says there's a bunch of common side effects of being overinformed. One of them we talked about being anxious, duh. Another, we become angry. Rising blood pressure and seething anger follow when we're constantly exposed to partisan clickbait, triggering troll provocations, and other forms of foolish talk. Yeah?
Yep.
You and I have sent to each other text messages about things that make us angry on the internet. But it's an emotion that's easy to trigger, you know?
Right.
We've become addicted to too much information. Algorithms easily figure out what types of information you can't resist. Soon we're scrolling and we're seeing all the intoxicating things that we want to see. Yeah?
Yeah. And we lose our sense of empathy. That it's like, okay, they had a hurricane in Florida.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, I feel really bad. Oh, next week it's a hurricane that settles over North Carolina and floods them. Oh, I feel really bad. Oh, now there's fires in California. I feel really bad about them. And suddenly you don't really feel bad for any of them.
No.
It's just as long as it's not in my area, my home, be gone with you.
And that's the next side effect of being overinformed is you become numb. And the way they paint the picture is so good. It's the idea that you would be scrolling, see a horrific mass shooting, and go like, oh, it's terrible. Scroll up, vacation photo. Oh, look at it. Oh, the Johnsons are in the Caribbean. Isn't that fun? Meanwhile, you just passed a mass shooting. It's like, what? You become numb to it. Another consequence or side effect of being overinformed, you become lonely. We spend large segments of our lives binging on digital information far removed from local embodied communities. Even if it's information we debate or discuss with others online, we become lonelier because we're really debating avatars. Not the movie, but like, I see people all the time, and I wonder sometimes, who is doing this? They're arguing. They don't know each other, but they're expending a ton of emotional energy arguing about, I don't know, politics.
I don't even want to argue with people I know. Why would I want to argue with someone I don't know?
Right. But would you agree that activity creates loneliness?
Yeah, because in essence, you're just talking to yourself.
Exactly. And now we can't even tell the difference between when we're talking to AI and talking to people.
Right.
As new studies reveal. We also, as a consequence of being overinformed, become delusional. Because of the algorithmic shape of information today, no two of us live in the same information universe.
Right.
We all see things differently in ways tweaked to please our preferences and biases.
That is true.
That's why it's funny to watch Comedy Central send a reporter to a political rally, whether it's the right or the left, and all they have to do is have some basic information, and they can make fools of people who have had such curated information, they've become totally delusional. They have no idea what's true.
And it shows up in real life with people like the fella several years back who went to a pizza shop to free the kids being held captive in the basement.
Yeah.
The shop had no basement. It was all just a made-up story circulating.
Yeah.
But he got so riled up about this falsehood that he brought a rifle and went in and was going to storm the basement and free the kids.
And he was a suburban husband and father. He became delusional from too much information.
Yeah.
And the final side effect of too much information, we become detached from reality. The cumulative effect of all of these other things in an uninformed life becomes a pseudo-real life. When awareness trumps action and we're more compelled by narratives than by reality, our sense of the world becomes even more surreal. Yeah?
Yeah, because your time in your own mind is filled with all the stuff that you can't do anything about, that you're nowhere near.
Yeah.
And it makes you lose sight of like, oh, my actual kid's in front of me, or my best friend and her personal life issue that she's going through right now.
Yeah.
Because you're just filling your mind with things from other places that you actually can't do anything about.
And this is where I wonder if this person might be really onto something, where we point at social media as the problem of some social ills, but maybe it runs even deeper. Maybe it's not social media in and of itself. It's too much information.
Yeah, I've started myself to just like scroll past those things. And I'm merely on social media for like the silliness.
Right.
Because I found myself diving way too deep into being informed about everything that's happening everywhere. And I can't actually care anymore.
I've reached a real similar tipping point, which is why this article intrigues me so much, is I've like, giving up is the wrong word, but it feels pretty close.
Yeah.
I used to go home every day because our schedule is weird, and I'd sit and have lunch in front of cable news to just keep up with what's happening. That drifted away. I used to feel like I need to know what's going on in the world to be effective on the air. But it just became so overwhelming, I'd miss things. I mean, it's too much.
Right.
And then I get anxious. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
You feel that way?
Yes.
And so I wonder if this is really the problem. It's not social media. It's not the internet. It's not cable news. It's too much information. We all have just too much information.
The source is news and social media and whatever, but
yeah,
digging deep, the problem is we know too much.
Yeah, Sarah and I have family who what they do as a rule, they get up, turn on cable news, leave it on all day.
That
in the
would get
background.
boring because, as I recall, I haven't watched cable news in a long time, but as I recall, it was about a half-hour cycle. So you'd watch them live for a half hour. They'd replay that half hour. The next hour, they'd have bits of that, and they'd fill in with a few news stories and repeat that. And so you're seeing the same thing over and over ad nauseum.
Yeah, and I can actually, when I talk to people, you can quickly find out not only where they get their information, but how much they consume it, because it's almost like suddenly they're just parroting a cable news channel or a website.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And they've got their talking points, so they can give you the one-liners. And you ask a follow-up question, well, I don't know. You know, I only know the one rally point that I'm supposed to say.
But we find our identity in being informed.
Right. It's like,
and if you don't know, you're dumb.
Right. It's
a
commodity.
And if you don't know, you aren't doing your due diligence as a citizen. Or, as people tell us here, we're not doing our due diligence as Christians if we're not informed.
Yes. And at the beginning, I shared that idea, right, where information is worn like a garment to enhance one's status.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what everybody loves: C.S. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe he wrote this paragraph in his lifetime, back in like the 40s, but it's true. Here's what he wrote. It's one of the evils of rapid diffusion of news that the sorrows of all the world come to us every morning. I think each village was meant to feel pity for its own sick and poor, whom it can help, and I doubt if it's the duty of any private person to fix his mind on ills which he cannot help. This may even become an escape from the works of charity we really can do with those we know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A great many people do now seem to think that the mere state of being worried is in and of itself meritorious. I don't think it is.
Yeah, just being worried.
How prophetic.
Mm-hmm. And what can I do? I can go serve the unhoused in my community. I can go serve foster and adoptive families. I can go serve the teen moms in my community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I can do. That's something I actually can do, instead of just being informed about wars and toils of other places.
Which is as you're implying, what the Christian life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Is helping the poor, the destitute, the widow, the orphan, like actually helping them. Not just being angry that they exist in some other place or anxious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And as this person points out in the piece, we end up actually, the tragic consequence for Christians of the too much information is that we do nothing. Like we could all articulate all of the names and positions of the Supreme Court justices, but we don't know the mayor of our own town.
Right.
Like, I bet there's a bunch of people right now who can't name the mayor of their own town or any member of their local school board or the name of the ministry in town that helps the homeless and the hungry. That should convict, if it convicts me, it should convict all of us. And I think the solution you have, Lauren, may be just where the church needs to head. We no longer should treat information as a commodity. Like, should we be blissfully ignorant of what's going on in the world? So then how do we find a balance? When it's a fire hose in your pocket, right? When you open up your phone and slide open social media.
Have a time limit and a certain time of day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at my 10 a.m. break at work. And just for those 10 minutes, I'm seeing what's going on, and then I'm not doing it again until tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Or wait until other people tell you, because they will.
Mm-hmm.
Or even get back to the old strategy that Sarah and I have started to love, is just watch the local news.
Yeah. What's going on in Akron?
It's been like informative and nice. And because ultimately the real consequence of all this is many of us think we're flexing our Christian muscles a lot as we throw Christian ethics all over the internet. And yet our relationship with Christ is suffering dramatically because we spend almost no time reflecting on how our lives are a reflection of his character and what it means to follow and love him, because we're too busy getting drowned in information. powerful stuff to consider and maybe something to revisit on Friday. It's 7:02. It's time for Ron's News.
There's joy in the journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The work of selecting a new pope in secret is set to begin just over a week from now. It's 7:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The Vatican announced today that the closed-door process, known as a conclave, will begin on May 7th. Members of the College of Cardinals under age 80 are allowed to vote, and the winner must be selected by a 2/3 majority. Voting will continue until white smoke is seen from the chapel chimney, indicating there is a new pope. Cleveland City Council members are making a statement as they passed a resolution declaring gun violence as a public health crisis in the city of Cleveland. Councilmember Richard Starr, who sponsored the resolution, says that between 2019 and 2024, there were 953 homicides in the city, and that of those, 825 victims were black people of all different ages who were victimized by gun violence. Western Pennsylvania residents and those around the state are being reminded that the deadline to register to vote in the Commonwealth's May 20th election is quickly approaching. The deadline there is Monday, May 5th. In sports, the Cavaliers blew out the Heat 138-83 to complete the sweep and secure a spot in the NBA playoffs' second round. The Guardians, unfortunately, got crushed by the Twins 11-1, and a two-time Stanley Cup champion is out of a head coaching job as the Penguins fired Mike Sullivan yesterday. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny with a slight chance of showers in the morning, then becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon with showers likely and even a chance of thunderstorms. It'll be way more humid with highs in the upper 70s. At last check, mostly cloudy, 68 in Cleveland, 63 Akron and Canton, 61 in Youngstown.
It's time for your moron moment.
Know someone in college? Google is giving away a year of Gemini Advanced for free. It's part of the Google One AI Premium plan, which includes things like VO2 for video, Notebook LM, 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and more. This will give them exam prep, writing help, even homework help. Now, this offer runs until June 30th, so have them use their .edu mail to sign up for the opportunity. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It is 7:05 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
look at that. 7:10, Mornings with Brian. That must mean it's either the President of the United States or the President of Moody Bible Institute, Dr. Mark Jobe. I think it's the latter. Good morning, Dr. Jobe.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
Doing better now that you're here, sir.
Hey, I hate to interrupt that great discussion that you were having. I listened to a little bit of it, and it's like, oh, that's a great discussion.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it's always a great thing when the President of the Institute hears a great discussion. Boy, okay, you just made my day, sir.
You made his whole week, probably.
I'd be like, Ron, pull the audio. Okay, so that's not why you're here, though, of course. You're here to talk about why today's a special day at Moody Bible Institute.
Yeah, so once a year, we celebrate Giving Day at Moody Bible Institute. And many of the listeners know, obviously, that Moody Radio is connected with Moody Bible Institute. And for 139 years, next year would be 140 years, there's students from really all over the world that converge on the campus here at Moody Bible Institute and other places that we have Moody Aviation. And, this is a fun day because it's a day that we celebrate how faithful God has been. The students get a chance to say thank you to people that sponsor them. And this is really a unique setup because Moody is tuition sponsored, and some of the listeners may or may not know that. Students still have to pay their room and board, but the tuition part of it, if you're a full-time student on the campus in Chicago, it's paid for. And that's quite an unusual way of operating, and grateful for people really all around the country that contribute because they believe in the mission of training the next generation of leaders to make a difference in this world and live on mission with Jesus.
And so those who are kind of captured by that vision, because it's a long-standing and important vision for equipping future ministry leaders and those out in the mission field, how can folks get involved if they want to support the model?
Yeah, so today, if you go to moodygivingday.org, that's moodygivingday.org, you can get on the website, and there's some fun resources as well. There's a prayer journal. It's free. There's some other resources there that people can enjoy. Or if you want to call, you can go to 800-600-9624. and give a donation of any amount. And before 9 o'clock, by the way, that's doubled. And so it's quite a thing. And if you want to join in on chapel at 10:30, we have a special Giving Day chapel. I'll be speaking this morning. Some of the students give testimonies, so they can also jump online if they go to the Moody website.
And again, the website to be a part of Moody's Giving Day is moodygivingday.org. moodygivingday.org, or call 800-600-9624. And there's a whole bunch of other resources there for those who may just want to kind of take in some training, huh?
Yeah, there's a free 6-day devotional written by Moody students and faculty, which is kind of cool. There's a prayer guide as well, not specifically related to Giving Day, but those of you that say, hey, I just want to jumpstart my prayer life, there's a prayer guide given there, and several other resources related to Moody Radio, Moody Publisher, or Today in the Word as well. So just go to moodygivingday.org.
Dr. Mark Jobe, president of Moody Bible Institute, thanks for stopping by to share that, and thanks for listening to our show a little bit. That was fun.
Absolutely. My mother's in Spain, and my family's in Spain. My extended family, and there was a national power outage. And Lauren, there's really nothing I can do about it, but but you're right. I've read this summer a book called The Anxious Generation, where they talk a lot about how anxious, especially this generation, is because they're connected to 24 hours a day, mainly bad news.
Yeah.
And I do think I like that idea of putting some boundaries around that. So, hey, blessings and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks a lot, Dr. Jobe. Again, that's Dr. Mark Jobe, president of Moody Bible Institute. Boy, we should just go home now.
Yeah, let's just the show's over.
That's fun. I'm glad I didn't know he was listening.
Right.
Yeah.
That would just make me too nervous.
But you did it. Look at you.
I know.
You just did your standard regular job you do every day. And you did a good job, he said.
Stop reminding me. It's too
Brian's
much.
not going to be able to do the rest of the show.
It's too much. 7:15 here. Coming up just a minute. We're going to keep it a little spicy for you.
Oh, my gosh.
The world is looking to Rome as a new pope is chosen.
Yes.
And there are some of you who are anxiously awaiting it, staring at the news, watching it. Others of you are like, Brian, you just said the word pope on Moody Radio. How dare you? We have much to talk about on this front. In fact, there was a movie recently that caught all of our attention on the team with some interesting spiritual lessons. We're going to talk more about all that here in just a few minutes.
The world is changing fast. AI, global crises, and shifting cultural landscapes are shaping future generations in ways that are hard to imagine. The question isn't if change is coming. The question is, how will we respond? Join Moody Bible Institute this May in Chicago for Future Church, preaching and leading the next generation. This powerful conference will equip you with dynamic preaching methods and cutting-edge leadership strategies to reach that next generation. Register now at moodyconferences.com. That's moodyconferences.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from North Coast Family Foundation, helping families by providing a foundation for emotional and spiritual health through biblical counseling. More information is at northcoastfamily.com. That's northcoastfamily.com.
Easter is here, and we celebrate the amazing miracle of Jesus coming back to life with Today in the Word's Family Study. Fact is, the story of Jesus' death and resurrection is something we can think about all year long. It's not just for Easter, it's for every day. Enjoy hands-on learning activities for the whole family. Download your free copy of this month's family study at todayintheword.com/family. Let's spend time in God's Word together.
Hey, I'm Brant Hansen, and it's obviously great to do nice things for people. That's what a lot of missions do, and some hope that someone will ask about Jesus. But this is what I love about Cure International Children's Hospitals. Not only are kids healed, Cure shares the gospel openly and clearly with everyone. It's what they do. It's exactly what Jesus told us to do, proclaim the kingdom and heal the sick. Find out more about Cure and what God is doing in the world. It is a beautiful thing. Cure.org/Moody. Cure.org/Moody.
Get out of the sheets and into the streets. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
721 on WCRF. Join us at the Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast coming up May 8th at the IX Center. The whole team's going to be there. And we're going to have a great time. Can't wait to hear the guest speaker, Jeff Struker. He's an Army veteran, and he was a part of the Army Rangers as they were involved in the Battle of Mogadishu, which was depicted in the movie Black Hawk Down. He's going to be an incredible speaker. It's designed as an outreach for you to bring an unsaved friend. It's not like hyper churchy, so you can go to prayer breakfast and they're going to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
It's very accessible. It's efficient. You'll be off and ready to go to work right on time. And maybe your friend will get saved. Happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
Text prayer for more information to get your tickets. Text prayer to 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. So the world and the passing of Pope Francis began staring at Vatican City in the heart of Rome, and the cameras of the world will stick there for weeks, however long it takes to select a new pope. Ron, you reported on today in your news.
Yeah, the conclave will start May 7th, and apparently they take a vote right away, and then they recess. It gives the opportunity to hobnob and lobby a little bit, as you discuss. Well, seems like a lot of people want brother so-and-so as pope, but I feel more that brother so-and-so is the better candidate. And, you know, just like you might with political conversations, hopefully not as heated as American politics, but it could be.
Yeah, we won't see that
know.
part.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if it wasn't, you know. Before we talk at length about the Pope, we're going to talk about the movie Conclave.
Yeah.
Talk about the Roman Catholic Church. I'd be remiss if I did not share a couple of quick caveats for clarity's sake. One of them would be that we, of course, as you just heard from Dr. Mark Jobe, president of Moody Bible Institute, we are a ministry of Moody Bible Institute. That's where our paychecks come from. And Moody Bible Institute is an evangelical, non-denominational organization. Is that a fair assessment, Lauren? She's a graduate from there, if you don't know.
Yes.
So we don't affiliate with any particular denomination.
Right.
But theologically, we'd be considered evangelical. We're Protestant evangelicals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know quite what that means, we could go into the theological details, but we won't. Essentially, we're sola scriptura. We believe that truth comes from the Bible alone, and the Bible is the literal word of God. Okay. With that in mind on the show, we love everybody. Everybody's welcome to listen, whether you're a believer or not, whether you're an evangelical or not. We'd love to have you here. And we stand shoulder to shoulder with those who cling to Jesus Christ as the source of their salvation through his life, death, and resurrection.
Yeah.
And we also are passionate about Jesus' prayer for unity in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Mm-hmm.
The world will know who we are by our love for one another, not our hate for one another. A lot of Christians miss that. But we want to embody unity through love, okay? And we have lots of Roman Catholic friends and listeners to the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the large, it's a huge population of Roman Catholics here in Northeast Ohio.
Right.
We know many of you listen. Good morning. Hi. We're certainly praying for you in this big moment. I know it's a big deal for you and your churches and your parishes. And theological differences won't keep us from praying for you and talking about what you're going through, because the whole world, there's over 1 billion Roman Catholics in the world. We're supposed to pretend they don't exist? Goodness sakes. All that said, Daria, a number of months ago, she could have come on the air every day since then and gone like, told ya. You were one of the first people I ever heard of mention the movie Conclave.
Yeah, I reviewed it for us, I think in the fall. I went and saw it with my dad. Phenomenal movie. I mean, just so well done. But beyond that, I was shocked at how many nuggets of wisdom and things that I think should challenge us as the church that you can take away. I really do think it's a movie that every Christian owes it to themselves to see.
What's the gist of the film for those who aren't familiar at all, even though it was up for big awards and such?
Yeah, so it did win a couple Oscars, not the ones I was hoping it would win, but it still won some Oscars. But so basically the Pope dies. That's how the movie opens. And then Conclave starts, and there's a whole bunch of politics, a whole bunch of drama. There's a couple people that are like really vying to be the Pope. And a lot of people have skeletons in their closet. And trying to weed that out, trying to figure out amongst themselves who's going to be the best pope, because there's really not a clear answer.
Now, it's not a perfect depiction of the process, but it's
because half of it we don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's a secret.
Yes.
And they're asked to keep it a secret. It's just between them, the leaders of the church. So.
And the timeliness of it becoming a part of an Amazon subscription, which so many people have to watch it for free, essentially as part of your subscription, is pretty wild. This was planned a long time ago.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
intrigue. It's a topic that I'm naturally curious about, the religious goings-on of the church. It was heartwarming in a lot of ways. Ralph Fiennes' character, Cardinal Lawrence, the dean of the College of Cardinals, you felt for him as he tried his best to do what's right in God's eyes. You know, he wanted to do the right thing and made a lot of tough decisions along the way. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Now, there has been some controversy about the film and some such, and we may touch on some of that a little bit later. But more importantly, there was a couple of speeches that we were just like blathering on about in our conference room at the station yesterday. So much so that somebody put it up on the screen and we watched one. And we want to zero in on one of these speeches given by the character Ron just talked about, Dean Lawrence, the dean of the College of Cardinals in the movie Conclave. And he got to a moment in his speech where I'm like glued to the TV when I'm watching this. And he said, "There is one sin which I have come to fear above all others." And he pauses. And I was like, wonder what that is.
Lust.
Right. Yeah. I thought it'd be something like that. And his answer made me go like, what? We're going to get to the answer and analyze it from an evangelical perspective here coming up in just a minute.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
Pastors have to make tons of decisions, including what to do to meet healthcare needs for themselves and their staff. Christian Healthcare Ministries specializes in making healthcare decisions easy and affordable. Not insurance, but a health cost sharing ministry for over 40 years. CHM opens the door for individuals, families, and yes, pastors to be a part of a biblical way to meet medical bills. Get more information and answers to your questions at chministries.org/Moody. That's chministries.org/Moody.
Helping you take the next step in your walk with Jesus. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio, Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
in the Journey. It's Mornings with Brian from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studio. Good morning from Moody Radio Cleveland. This is WCRF. If you're just tuning in, we spent quite a bit of time warming up to a conversation about the movie Conclave. It's timely in the fact that it's free on Amazon now, if you consider it a subscription service free, but you don't have to pay extra to watch it. As the whole world turns its attention to Rome, Italy, as the Roman Catholic Church mourns the loss of Pope Francis and will select a new pope from among the existing cardinals, 180 eligible or so, as they converge on Rome next week. And it's an intriguing historical process. Many of us have only seen this a few times in our lifetime. So it's a news story, but also there's some spiritual depth to it. Even though we're evangelical, I think it's worth talking about. In fact, the movie Conclave, the whole team here has seen it now.
Which doesn't normally happen.
No. I'm still trying to convince Lauren to watch Shawshank Redemption, and she just won't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, but it's a whole other story.
Embarrassing for who? You? You're begging?
Yeah, that's become embarrassing, yes. But we all watched Conclave, and all of us, even Ron, were blown away by it. It's dialogue-driven. I haven't seen a powerful dialogue-driven movie in I don't know how long. Yeah. And in the midst of it are really thought-provoking spiritual concepts. So what we're going to do is this. There's a moment in the film. We're going to listen to a clip. It's only about 2 minutes long, where the guy playing the dean of the College of Cardinals, what's the actor's name, Ron?
Ralph Fiennes.
He's so good. He stands up and he gives the opening, they call it a homily in the Roman Catholic Church. Protestants would call it a sermon, a sermonette.
Yeah.
He gives the opening speech to all the cardinals as they begin the conclave to select a new pope. And he says something pretty dramatic in there. It's the sin he fears above all others. We're going to talk about it, but first let's listen to the clip.
Let me speak from the heart for a moment. St. Paul said, "Be subject to one another out of reverence for Christ." To work together and to grow together, we must be tolerant. No one person or faction seeking to dominate another. And speaking to the Ephesians, who were, of course, a mixture of Jews and Gentiles, Paul reminds us that God's gift to the church is its variety. It is this variety, this diversity of people and views which gives our church its strength. And over the course of many years in the service of our mother, the church, let me tell you, there is one sin which I have come to fear above all others. Certainty. Certainty is the great enemy of unity. Certainty is the deadly enemy of tolerance. Even Christ was not certain at the end. Dio mio, perché mi hai abbandonato? He cried out in his agony at the 9th hour on the cross. Our faith is a living thing precisely because it walks hand in hand with doubt. If there was only certainty and no doubt, there would be no mystery, and therefore no need for faith. Let us pray that God will grant us a pope who doubts, and let him grant us a pope who sins and asks for forgiveness and who carries on.
Whoa. Powerful speech, a lot in there.
Yeah.
And you could even hear, much better without the visual, you could hear the background talk.
Mm-hmm.
In the film, it was a controversial homily. So a couple of quick caveats so they don't distract us from the most important part of this speech. We would probably disagree theologically with his assertion about Jesus doubting on the cross. Lauren, how would you interpret that?
Yeah, he says even Christ was not certain at the end. I'm not comfortable saying that Christ wasn't certain. I think he was certain. He knew that this was the way. He came to be a human and came to take on flesh because he knew this was the way. He was certain that this was the way. He was in anguish. He was in agony. If we look at a real description of what a crucifixion is, at this time, like, sorry to be graphic, his guts were hanging out. His flesh was torn. His body was dismembered. He's in agony. He's in angst. And he's basically saying, like, please, God, don't turn away from me. Because let's remember, no one has experienced God turning their face away from him like this except Jesus.
And what's being quoted there in Italian is, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Right. It's not about being uncertain. It's about God's turning his face from me. The Father is turning his face from me. And no one's experienced that depth of being forsaken except Christ.
Thanks, Lauren. There's also people who would hear him say, let's pray for a pope who and they'll go, Moody Radio? How could you play that? I would say I've certainly encountered evangelicals who are very harsh and mean to our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters. For that, those Roman Catholics listening, I am very sorry.
Yeah.
That kind of talk is not welcome around here. I find it interesting that Christians are very comfortable praying for world leaders. This is a point you made yesterday. I'm stealing from you, Lauren. Why are you okay with somebody saying pray for the next pope? And you're not a Catholic.
As a major world leader and probably the largest world religious leader, they should be prayed for.
Even by evangelicals?
Yeah, no matter if you agree with every theological point, the people who are under his leadership, they want someone who's going to lead them well. And let's not forget that there is a group of Roman Catholic people that are deeply in love with Jesus Christ, and we would go step in step with them.
That's right.
Of their beliefs. And they deserve that a leader that also loves Jesus and that their walk is in step with Christ too.
And the Pope is kind of the face of the church, not just the Catholic Church, but a lot of people look to them and see the Protestants, the evangelicals, and he is a world leader, and this is a very important figure. And I do think that we should pray for God's will for the next Pope, even if you disagree with some of the theology there.
Yeah,
all of us have bad theology. We're gonna get to heaven and go, whoops,
yeah.
wrong on that one.
There's people that will be under his leadership that do turn to Jesus Christ. And so we want someone who's going to do that well and does it with a heart of humility. And so he needs to be prayed for just like the President of the United States needs to be prayed for. He's a leader.
So don't get uncomfortable that you heard that on our show, because it's normal.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
And there's certainly much to say about theological differences between evangelicals and Roman Catholics, and evangelicals and and Southern Baptists and American Baptists and Methodists and Anglican and Episcopalian, but we're not going to do that today. Let's circle back and get over ourselves with some of our triggers from that speech and talk about his powerful statement. I had to pause. I did not expect him to say, the sin that he fears the most is certainty. I kind of gasped along with the other cardinals watching in the movie. I was like, wait, what? Paul lists lots of sins. I don't remember that one.
Right.
Is certainty a sin?
It could be. I think in certain instances it would fall under pride.
And if you think that you're certain all the time about everything, you kind of put yourself on a same plane as God.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of Protestants and Roman Catholics would hear that sentence, even though it's in a movie, and would go, what? Because you could hear him, what did he say? The sin he fears the most is certainty. He says certainty is the great enemy of unity. Certainty is the deadly enemy of tolerance. And he thinks that doubt is essential to faith. We've made some quick comments here, but I want to dig more into this in just a minute. Is certainty, or can certainty be a sin? I mean, you might be like, can? No, hold on. I mean, remember, money is not a sin. Love of money is sinful. So
that's what you do with it.
That's right. So could certainty be sinful? We'll talk more about that and unpack this powerful speech one more time here in just a minute.
Parents, youth pastors, are you looking for a life-changing opportunity for your teens this summer? The Experience Jesus Conference, June 23rd through 28th at Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, isn't just another event. It's a 5-day experience where high school students learn to share their faith on the streets of Chicago.
XJ grounded my faith and inspired me to share the gospel.
Register now at moodyconferences.com/XJ. Early bird rates end April 30th.
Unifying, encouraging, networking. The Cleveland Leadership Prayer Breakfast returns on Thursday, May 8th. Join us for breakfast, networking opportunities, prayer, and an inspiring call to fearless leadership. From former Army Ranger Jeff Struker, his experience in the Battle of Mogadishu is part of the Hollywood blockbuster Black Hawk Down. To purchase tickets, text prayer to 440-546-2255 or register by April 30th at neoleadershipevents.com.
Wondering what it looks like to apply deep doctrinal truths to your life? Check out the course on the Book of Romans from Moody and Rich, our continuing education platform. This course will cover topics like the universality of sin, union with Christ, the Christian's service, and much more. This is a text-based, self-paced e-course that you can enroll in today for just $34.99. Learn more and enroll at moody.edu/enrich.
Brian's third grade teacher left us a voicemail.
Please record your message.
I always thought that Brian would be a circus performer or a radio host. At least I got one right.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
748 WCRF Mornings with Brian. I tell you what, it's one of the better movies I've seen in a very long time, and it happens to coincide perfectly with world history as the whole world awaits the selection of a new pope, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, after the death of Pope Francis. 748 now, Mornings with Brian, and we're chatting about the movie Conclave is what I'm referencing.
Right.
We're not saying it's perfect theologically. The end certainly has some controversy, which I think many people have misinterpreted and misunderstand. But we're not here to talk about those things. I think in life we talk about thought-provoking things, whether or not they're perfect. And this is one of those cases. So in the film, there's a couple of discourses, speeches that are just like they make you stop, hit pause, and go, what? One of them, the dean of the College of Cardinals says, there is one sin which I have come to fear above all others, certainty. And it kind of rocked me when I heard that because it's so unexpected.
That was the speech that particularly prompted my son to text and ask if I'd watched the movie yet.
Really?
Yeah, he said it's the best description of a religious movement. I can't remember exactly now what he said, but the best for him that he had heard. Because I think he's heard a lot of people who are, well, like, you know, I know everything. Jesus, this, I know the Westminster Catechism forward and back, and you know, he doesn't have that certainty. And when he heard this, it's like, yes, that's how I am.
Now, someone's not with us here, though, listening, where a couple of you were like, yeah, I think certainty could be a sin. How in the world could something that's not listed in the list of sins in the Bible, nowhere will you see it specifically or even implied specifically that certainty is a sin. So how in the world could that be a sin?
Pride is a sin.
Yes.
That is listed. And I think certainty could fall under pride. Obviously, there are certain things that we know to be a fact about who God is, who Jesus is. There are things that we know, but there's plenty that is gray and up for debate and interpretation. And to say that you have arrived and you have figured it out is very prideful. It's very vain, as Lauren was saying. I think what you're doing is actually saying that in a way that you are God because you know it all.
And Lauren, I heard you yesterday in our conference room as we were chatting about this, say something that might surprise people. Like when you graduated from Moody, people would assume that you left more certain about all spiritual things. Is that true?
No. I was probably less certain.
You have to qualify that.
Because I learned so much about what other people believe.
Right.
That I didn't know, because I grew up in one way with two parents who believed the same thing, so they taught me the same thing. They went to churches that believed the same thing they did. And then you go to a school where there's people from tons of different denominations within Christianity, and you learn, oh, not everyone believes that. And they explain why they believe what they believe, and it's, oh, that's convincing. That could work.
Right. If you have an open heart, suddenly people who disagree with you on certain points of doctrine and theology don't sound so crazy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of different denominations in what they believe about the Lord's Supper, what they believe about infant or adult baptism, or all sorts of things.
How to interpret the book of Revelation.
Yes, and like, is it pre-millennialism or amillennialism or post-millennial? Like, there's all kinds of different ways to believe. And the majority of people that I've encountered that have different points of view on these things all love Jesus a lot and are doing their best that they can to interpret Scripture. But we don't know. And I think what I left learning is that there's a lot we don't know. And we're all just doing our best to interpret it. And if you come away saying, this is what it is, I can't be convinced otherwise, there is no other way, this is what it is, I do think that you're sinning. Because you're putting yourself on, I know exactly what God meant by that. No matter what all the church fathers have said, no matter what our modern church fathers have said, I know exactly what God meant by that. When hundreds and thousands of years before us, people haven't known. They've been thinking and pondering about it for thousands of years.
Yeah, well said. Now, somebody might go, well, but you have to be certain about something. Of course.
Yeah.
The things that make us Christian.
Yes.
And the list is shockingly short.
Yes, it is.
Compared to what many people claim it to be. We won't go through all of them, but it's essentially a church's statement of faith, usually.
Yeah, you believe in a triune God, that God is one being, three persons, that one of those persons is Jesus Christ, who came to earth and took on the sins of the world so that you would no longer be holding sin in front of the face of God, because Jesus took it on for you, died, and then rose again 3 days later into a resurrected body, so that we then are found hidden in Christ. We take on his flesh.
And after that, you're saying you could be in loving unity with someone who disagrees with you about how much time elapsed in Genesis 1.
Yep.
About what Revelation means.
Yep.
About what James meant when he said faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're uncertain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like totally uncertain. So when it comes to those theological positions, you probably have ideas.
Yeah, I have
like
things.
You lean towards
Yeah,
something.
I have things that I lean towards. Oh, this is what sounds most convincing to me. This is what I've found in theologians or Bible scholars that I trust. This is what they believe, and so I'm kind of in line with them there. But I'm not certain. I'll never be certain on a lot of things because I can't know.
Well, and in the film Conclave, in two brief sentences, Dean Lawrence, the character, illustrates the consequence of the sin of certainty. He says, certainty is the great enemy of unity, and certainty is the deadly enemy of tolerance. Mm-hmm. Help us, let's understand that. How could certainty be the enemy of unity?
Because you're convinced that your way is right, and so anyone else is wrong, and so you can't be in community with them.
Right. There have been times in evangelical church history where you would separate yourself from people who didn't believe your complete line of theology. And then they would go so far as to be second level separationists, that, well, this person might agree with you, but he associates with somebody who doesn't agree 100%. So you have to, stay away from him. And obviously unity suffers when you're that certain and you cling to that kind of a mentality.
Yeah, and I think we skip past Jesus' final hours to get to the cross and the empty tomb, because his farewell discourse 3 times he tells his disciples to love one another, and in his prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, his prayer is that the unity of the church would be seen through our love for one another. Forgive us, Lord. Our certainty, in many respects, has caused disunity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about how strident some famous preachers are, even about people who disagree with their interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
They even sound rude and ununified. What do you think he meant when he said that certainty is the deadly enemy of tolerance? Because tolerance is a trigger word today.
Yes, it is.
You're like, tolerance, politics. No, it's an actual word that doesn't have to be tied with current events.
Yeah. I think of tolerance as putting up with something.
Yeah.
I tolerate that my grandkids make a mess in the house because they're young. That's what they do. I'm going to have to clean up when they leave.
You tolerate it.
Yeah. So spiritually, within us as a body of the church, we have to put up with other people's actions, the way they live their life. In the Roman Catholic Church, all these cardinals are coming from around the world. So there are some who are there in the Vatican all the time, and they've got their way of doing things. But then you bring in Americans who are different, and Africans who are different, and South Americans who are different, and there's got to be a level of tolerance among all of you, and the same for us. We have people from all different cultures. We need to be tolerant of them. People with differing beliefs, we need to express some tolerance with them.
Well, in a real practical example, Lauren and I disagree on some finer points of theology.
Yep.
And were we not tolerant of that, we would be enemies. We couldn't possibly be friends. And I think that's what he meant, is that it really is the enemy of unity, and it's the deadly enemy of tolerance. Certainty is. Certainty creates enemies of Christians, one over another, because of finer points of doctrine that we don't need to get wound up about. Very thought-provoking stuff. Now, again, if you watch Conclave and you don't like parts of it, okay. We're not saying we fully endorse all of it. In fact, we don't. What we like to do is talk about today's issues from a biblical perspective and take anything from culture and put it through the lens of Scripture. And I got to tell you, there was a couple of speeches given in this dialogue-driven Academy Award-winning film that fits so well with history right now, with the conclave convening in Rome here next week, that I thought it actually helped me think more deeply about what it means to be a follower of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I've never thought about certainty being a sin, but I think perhaps this guy nailed it.
Yeah.
Are you all feeling good about parking there, putting the car in park and walking away?
I think certainty in all things and always, yeah. I think there's some things you have to be certain in, but you can't be certain in everything.
And that's
because then you're God. So.
Well, right. And that's the nuance we have to capture here, is that, again, it would be foolishness to say money is sinful, but the love of money is sinful. So there's nuance there.
Mm-hmm.
There's nuance here in certainty as well. No one is saying you have to be uncertain about everything. No. But one of my favorite quotes from Isaiah is the Lord said, "Heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house are you going to build for me?" As in, I put my feet up on the entire earth. You don't know me? You can't possibly know me. Dr. Rydelnik talks about how somehow free will and predestination work together. I don't get it. The end. I'm uncertain.
And neither does Dr. Rydelnik.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know.
I don't know.
He's uncertain about how those work together.
Yep.
Certainty on those issues causes division. We can go on and on. Job essentially demanded God explain himself to Job. And Job's answer was, You don't know me? I'm sorry, were you there when I stopped the oceans at the shore? Oh, you weren't. His answer was, I'm God and you're not. And Job never got certainty. So I think it's something we could be really comfortable with. There may be more we'll cover on this on Friday. I know a lot of you have comments you wanted to share. We couldn't even get to some calls and such. Doesn't mean it's done. Friday, we'll cover this again, I'm sure, on Follow-Up Friday. 440-546-2255. It's 8:02. It's time for Ron's News and today's Moron Moment. And then when we come back, we're going to listen back to a conversation I had with a scientist who happens to live out in California. So it's cruel and unusual punishment to put him on the radio at like 3 a.m. or whatever. So I recorded a conversation with Dr. Hugh Ross, and we'll listen back to it here in just a minute.
Loving God with our hearts and our minds. It's Mornings with Brian, live from the North Coast Family Foundation sponsored studios on Moody Radio Cleveland. WCRF Cleveland. WVMS Sandusky. WVML Millersburg. WVMN Newcastle. WVME Meadville. WVMU Ashtabula. And with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won the Canadian election over Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. It's 8:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation says it's too early to know whether the Liberals would win enough to form a majority government. It is an election that has been heavily influenced by President Trump's tariffs and his comments. Ohioans who want to vote by mail in the upcoming primary election need to get their requests filed immediately. All absentee ballot applications need to be received by the county election officials by 8:30 p.m. tonight. Extended hours for early in-person voting begin this week. Margaret Davis has been named the new principal of Worcester High School, pending board approval, according to an announcement from the Worcester City School District. Davis has served as an assistant and associate principal at the high school for the past 3 years. In sports, the Cavaliers blew out the Heat 138-83 to compete the sweep and to secure a spot in the next round of the NBA playoffs. The Guardians, well, they got crushed by the Twins 11-1, and a two-time Stanley Cup champion is out of a head coaching job as the Penguins fired Mike Sullivan yesterday. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly sunny with a slight chance of showers in the morning, then becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon with showers likely and a chance of thunderstorms. More humid with highs today in the upper 70s. At last check, mostly cloudy and 68 degrees in Cleveland, 64 in Akron and Canton. Skies are clear now in Ashtabula, where it's 61 degrees.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
Know someone in college? Google is giving away a year of Gemini Advanced for free. It's part of the Google One AI Premium plan, which means you also get tools like VO2 for video, Notebook LM, 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and more. This will give exam prep, writing help, and even homework help. This offer only runs until June 30th, so use your .edu email to sign up. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:05 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the